Right.
So hello and welcome to the New Gig podcast. I'm your host, Glen Hodgson, and today I'm delighted to be joined by someone with a vast experience in the sharing and platform economy, who is also CEO of Workamo, Mr. Olof Norlander. Good to have you here, Olof.
Thank you, Glen.
It's a pleasure to
Really
have
nice
you
being
here.
here.
And let's get into things by if you can just say a little bit about your background, a little bit about your journey, how you got into the platform economy, but also explain a little bit for the viewers and listeners who may not be aware of the services you provide, a little bit about Workamo too.
Sure, and it's really nice being here, Glenn. Thank you so much. Very briefly about myself, I've been working within the media industry and the fintech and different startups within fintech for about 10 years. I became the CEO for Workamo in September 2020, so quite recently. I'm 38 years old, family man with 2 kids and a wife, living in Stockholm. Some hobbies is playing golf, and I also play a lot of ice hockey.
Sounds
the
good.
veteran league, though. It's just keeping up. To try to be fit in some way.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's nice. It's fun. A little bit about Workamo. We are an upcoming self-employment company, helping freelancers to send invoices without owning a company.
Yeah.
And also, we also try to help companies to manage their freelancers and their payments to freelancers.
Yeah.
So that's basically what we're doing as a company. We were founded in 2020, so we're quite a new company, and we're founded by EPTI and PE, PE Accounting, which in my view, it's a unique combination of a tech venture builder, EPTI, and the accounting firm, PE, that join forces to create something, a top-notch service, I would say.
Excellent.
And EPTI, they're great venture building. They're now in 15 different ventures, and giving the tech power that will put Workamo ahead, in my perspective. And P is the best digital accounting firm in Sweden, with their internal developed software that enables an automatic handling of the payroll. So paying out salaries it's really quick and easy, and they can handle over 10,000 salaries within half an hour. So that's unique. Really great company to have on board as well, and one of the owners, of course. And then I'm a part owner as well, and I really believe in this. I think, both in terms of believing in the freelance space, but also, of course, in the business itself. Sorry.
I think that's absolutely right. And I think we see sort of the growth in the sector as well. And I think that the particular situation that exists in Sweden, you're either, it's very black and white, you're either an employer or an employee. And of course, the people who are self-employed, independent contractors, freelancers, they kind of fall between the cracks. So it's great that you come in and sort of offer the services that allow companies, but also individuals, to be able to look after their taxes, be able to have the infrastructure that they can send out bills without having the time, the expense, and the hassle. Let's be honest about it, about setting up either a shareholder company or a egen enskild firma, which I'm not too sure what the English term is for that, but basically you're a one-person company as opposed to an RBO, which is a shareholder company. So offer a service which is growing. And are you seeing this from your statistics and the members who are joining up to use your services as well, Olof?
I do. I agree with you. It's a space that needs. We have had companies within this space for a while now. We have competitors that started 20 years ago. But I think it's demand for more companies within this space, but also to have different solutions. because I mean every industry is special in itself. You need special solutions for, let's say, influencer marketing.
Yeah.
I mean, influencer networks, they need special solutions for the benefits, for an example. So I mean, it's for sure it's a very important part, and a lot of gig platforms and a lot of companies that are developed now as tech companies um, are really struggling with finding easy solutions to stay as a tech company and not being a HR company having thousands of employees and trying to handle all of them. That's our job to make it easy for the administration, and I think also the people that works as freelancers, they want to be free. I mean, that's something that has been important for a while now. You can see that different reports has been done that people say that one of the most important thing for me is not the salary, it's that I can work when I want to work. It usually ends up that you're working a lot more, but you're doing it by yourself, for yourself, which is a really important part in today's society. I can see that there are, I mean, there are a lot of competitors, there are a lot of other solutions, but I think we all can find our special niche. I mean, for Workamo, it has been that we are very easy to just log in and create an account for a company. So you can handle, if you're working with 10 freelancers, you can just handle them at Workamo without having any barriers, like creating an account that you have to pay for each month. You're just starting to use it, and then you can invite freelancers as well.
That's excellent. I think this is a great point that you touch upon there, that there's kind of this impression that the freelancing lifestyle is just sitting on a beach, doing a little bit of work here and there. But I think you raised a great point that this is individuals who are doing a lot of work, sometimes working very long hours as well, to actually sort of create something and be doing something they enjoy, but at the same time actually sort of value that freedom, value that flexibility. And it's a lifestyle choice. It's not because they can't find anything else. It's more and more of a trend. And I think that you're really onto something there, that when we look at sort of these surveys, even here in Sweden, where we are at the moment, sort of the statistics about people who actually dislike their job or really detest it and hate to go into the office or to be working with what they're doing is over 60%. And this is absolutely crazy that people are sort of suffering all the time. So it's probably something that's on the rise in terms of this shift. And the technology is there, the platforms like Workamo are there. And would you say it's now the case that the mindset needs to shift in terms of employees, but also employers to be able to embrace this growing trend?
Definitely. And I mean, I think it already has in some way. I mean, the pandemic has sort of forced companies, especially to just rely on their employees to work from home. And I because before that was a major problem, and I know in a lot of ways. I mean, when I talk to my former employers, I mean, it's been like, okay, you're going to work from home. I don't know if you're going to be efficient enough. Come on, I'm a manager. Please, I have a lot of. So it's just I just think it's. I mean, if people wants to work and wants to do a good job, they will do it as well, and it will be much better. So in terms of like sitting in office, working as a freelancer, I think the barriers has shrunken down a lot. So I mean, it's I think we're going there, but it's still, I mean, it's still a lot of things to do, especially when it comes to how you're viewed as a bank customer, for example.
Yes,
if you're a
absolutely.
freelancer, I mean, that's one thing. But also, as you were talking about, I mean, the perspective of being a freelancer. I mean, if you are an employer, if you are employed, I mean, it's very easy to just say, okay, I'm having a safe role here. I mean, I'm within. It's very cozy. I mean, it's nice to be in a company, but you hate your job, but it's still nice. You get all the benefits. And that's quite a usual answer I get from friends and from
Really?
former colleagues.
Yeah.
But I mean, the challenge there is to I think it's a false safety feeling. I mean, you're not really safe. I mean, you can see that the companies that have struggled during the pandemic, they have to fire a lot of people. So I mean, you're sort of in the same situation as a freelancer. But of course, it's easier in some way to fire a freelancer, but also it's easier to hire them. So it's easier to get new jobs, and you can also control your situation in a much better way. So I think people start realizing that now, and it's also easier for employers to also hire or use freelancers for certain things, and experts for marketing, for example, and they don't have to be employed. So I think, I mean, when you talk to a lot of companies, I mean, I think they realize that as well. And they're trying to build a culture around for the freelancer as well. So it feels like, okay, this company is really nice working with, not being employed by, but nice to work with.
and I think that's the real thing that needs to happen as well, Olof. This companies having like a freelancer strategy, and not just for efficiency gains to be able to utilize the right talent and the right skills at the right time, but also to create a culture whereby you're not a second-class citizen, but you're actually a part of the team, but you're brought in when you're required. So it's the mentality that needs to be able to change with that, but it's also the fact that the processes need to be adapted. And as you were alluding to there, the issue of taxation. How do we do it? Because, whether it's a law firm, a pharmaceuticals company, or whatever, there is a lot of compliance. There's certain ways of doing things. So it's actually sort of getting the processes and the setup, and actually adapting it and tailoring it to the platform economy and freelance work, which is rising at 10 to 20% a year across the whole of Europe. If we're looking at the US, it's even faster than that. So we need to be able to harness this as opposed to ignore it.
Totally agree. And yeah, you're right. I mean, and also I think that people see this as a big step to go from being an employed to be a freelancer. And as you say, I mean, it's a lot of regulations that tries to make this barrier even higher. And I mean, of course they are, I mean, the regulations are there for a reason. So, I mean, they're good in a way, but it's easy. It's easy for us to work with these regulations and try to be the expert, instead of that each freelancer should be an expert within every regulation or job that they're trying to get. So let us do the boring work with administration, regulation, salaries, taxes, and everything. I mean, that's what we're there for. So you can focus on the work that you love to do. Which, I mean, I have my own company as well, besides Workamo, which I'm a part of as well. I mean, I'm really, it's really hard to try to defend that you're paying so much to your accounting firm without sending that many invoices. I mean, it's hard. I mean, I should use a self-employment company as well. I mean,
for everything.
For everything. I mean, it's so much easier. So I don't. But I mean, before, I mean, at least my view was that it was really expensive. But compared to owning a company and paying off an accounting firm, paying taxes and everything, I mean, I mean, corporate taxes as well. I mean, it ends up being more expensive. So I think you need to understand that as a freelancer as well. And I mean, a lot of freelancers are working with creative jobs, and I mean, they shouldn't be focusing on boring administration stuff like you have to do if you're owning a company. So I mean, it's a lot of positive things, but But before I joined Workamo, I heard a lot of negative things about this space, which is, in my view, not really fair. Because this is a really, really nice solution. And I'm not just talking about Workamo. I mean, it sounds like that, of course. But I mean, freelance finance, cool company, and also, I mean, GigaPay, and there are a lot of companies.
A lot of players in the space.
It's doing a good job. So I mean, it's I think the space is big enough for all of us. So I think we should work together to try to get people to understand how you can work with self-employment companies and services.
And I think that's an interesting point here in Sweden, this concept of self-employment or egenanställning. What are the sort of the main barriers to that at the moment, would you say? It'd be great to have sort of your top 3 issues, just to give a little bit of a flavor for what are the sort of the problems that are being encountered at the moment.
Yeah, I think we touched on that as well. I mean, we've been talking a little bit about how you proceed as a freelancer, both in terms of when you're going to a bank seeking for a loan, for example, but also going from being employed to being a freelancer. I mean, it's really that could be a big step. Not only because, I mean, society thinks it's very safe to be employed. But as you can see, I mean, with the pandemic, I mean, it hasn't been that safe. So I think even, I mean, a freelancer, when you can sort of have 10 clients instead of only one, I mean, you spread your risk as well. So that's one thing. I mean, how it's perceived and how people and employed people think it is to be a freelancer and take that as much higher risk, which it isn't. So that's one thing. And also regulations within certain industries. That's something that is a barrier as well for us. I mean, the unwillingness to understand how self-employment companies are working, and how we can create jobs and make it easier, for example, for immigrants to get jobs, and to be a part of the Swedish society. So that's important as well. I know that the media are trying to put this as like giggers are a bad thing. But which is not really true. It's not the entire picture. Of course, every industry needs to reach a certain maturity. But I think, I mean, in a lot of ways, all the delivery companies, I mean, they get so much bad media, which it's so unfair. They're really trying. And they're also giving jobs to immigrants. But it's not only, I mean, it's not only delivery companies that hire giggers. It's so much bigger than that. I mean, it goes from being a developer, being a business person as well. I mean, you can work as a freelancer in almost every industry. So that's a barrier as well. I mean, how the regulations are actually affecting us at the moment. But I mean, in Sweden, the tax agency has been really open and trying to understand, which is really good. And I mean, they also understand that we are helping them getting gig platforms to be more compliant in an easier way.
You're bringing in revenues. You're making it easy to bring in revenues. You want sort of the people who are sort of doing gig work, whether they're a builder, whether they're an influencer, or whether they're delivering goods, bringing them into the system, getting them to pay taxes, which pays for hospitals and schools. It should be a very positive thing, Olof.
But I think the Swedish tax agency really sees that as well. So they are very positive. And then, of course, I mean, if you look at the Swedish Employment Service, they're very positive as well. And then we have, the Swedish Work Environment Agency. I mean, they're a bit more conservative, I would say. They're trying to do it their way. And I understand what they're coming from, but still, I mean, I think we need an easier solution. I think we need to get to talk together, to have discussions, and they need to understand what we're coming from, and we need to understand what they're coming from as well. So we can help each other, because we're not against the rules of having a a safe and nice work environment. I mean, that's really important for everybody, and
Yeah.
for freelancers especially. So I mean, it's really, but that's something that is a barrier as well. Uh, yeah, I think that's. I mean, also maybe some people being employed. I mean, maybe. I mean, maybe they think it's really hard to get clients, and you have to be a salesperson to do that.
Right.
I mean, so many platforms now that are matching jobs that helps you to find really nice jobs. I mean, it's not that hard.
Yeah.
It's actually, I think it's almost easier than getting a job on the other end.
Yeah.
No, but
Yeah.
it's and also you can spread your risk. You can have 10 clients instead of only one.
Definitely. Yeah. I think this really makes a great deal of sense. And, when we look to sort of the future now, and for you to get your crystal ball out, Olof, and we look to the future, we've seen and are witnessing the rise of freelancing and self-employment. But how do you see the sector evolving over the next 3 to 5 years?
I think, I mean, of course, I think freelancing is going to be much bigger. And I mean, it's already
Yeah.
20% of today's workforce in
Yeah.
Sweden. So it's growing. And I mean, I'm talking a lot about Sweden because Workamo is focused on Sweden at the moment.
Definitely. Yeah.
But I mean, as you said before, I mean, in Europe, it's growing a lot as well. It's usually the jobs maybe that in the beginning of the pandemic went away quite quickly, but they're also coming back.
Yeah.
First of all the different kind of jobs. I mean, freelancers are important to try to get the industry going well, and the business going in the different countries.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's going to be an important part. I also think that people, as I talked about in the beginning, they crave for flexibility.
Yeah.
They want to know. I mean, they want to be their own boss. So they want to choose where, when, and how much work.
Yeah.
But as I said before, I mean, usually ends up that you're working a lot more. But I mean, you're working for yourself, and you think it's a lot of fun. So I think that's an important part as well. And you're doing what you like, hopefully.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Well,
but
they always say, Olaf, that if you do what you enjoy, you never work a day in your life. And I think that's a great way to look at it. You're doing something you're passionate about, something you really enjoy, something you're really engaged in.
yeah, and I'm starting to understand that as well. I mean, I really feel like that as well. I think this is so much fun for me as well, to try to talk about freelancers because it's so close to what I want to do as well. But it's such a nice. I mean, and also, I mean, I think it's been a big change the last year when people see freelancers as a bigger part of society and a much more important part of society, and companies as well. I mean, they like to use freelancers in a much more common way than they did before the pandemic. So I think that's something pushed it in the right direction as well. And also that you can see that you can build a culture, a company culture around freelancers as well. So you can invite freelancers for events and that sort of stuff, and try to involve them as well, so they like to work with the company.
Yeah.
Which is sort of the same as having a strong corporate culture for employers. So I mean, it's really employees. Sorry.
It's good because it
So
moves out of the sort of the mentality piece that a company is linked to a specific place and a 9 to 5 working schedule, but the fact that you can actually deliver value, deliver impact for different organizations, and actually develop and grow yourself as well, which I think is a key part of this. That everyone should win from the company perspective, from individuals, but hopefully also governments and public authorities as well coming out of this process.
I think so as well. And I mean, well, I'm talking about the Swedish tax agency a lot, but I think they're really trying to understand our space, and I think they're a role model for how you can work together with platforms, platform companies, gig platform companies,
Yeah.
trying to understand the freelance space. And also, I mean, I think they would be quite open to also maybe in the future use freelancers as well. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think, as you said, I mean, it's important for government and government-owned companies as well.
Yeah.
But I think it's going in that direction as well.
And that's brilliant to hear that we are utilizing this. And I think it's, as you say, it's part education. It's not changing people's minds, or it's more filling heads in terms of what this is, because there's a lot of misperceptions out there. There's also a lot of negativity deliberately spread in some cases by the media, that the platform economy and the gig economy is just people delivering food on bicycles or mopeds. And of course, that happens, but that's like one tiny fraction of this huge thing that we call the gig economy and the platform economy, which of course you see as a self-employment company and the self-employment platform. So this is fantastic, and I really appreciate your time today, Olof. Really like to be able to speak to you, and thanks for sharing your views, ideas, and some predictions for the future as well. So appreciate it.
I just want to say one more thing regarding the
Yeah.
predictions. I mean, I know that there are banks working to try to get some really good products out there for freelancers as well. So I mean, there are a lot of movement, and it's going quickly,
Yeah.
which is so nice to see, and it's really nice. I mean, yeah, it's going to be a big part of society quite soon, and it's changing fast. And as you said, I mean, delivery companies are just a very small part, important part
Yeah.
as well, but I mean, they're a very small part. It's within every industry you can find freelancers. So uh, thank you, Glenn, for letting me join your podcast. It's been really nice.
The pleasure is all mine, and then we'll have you back again soon. Olof Norlander, CEO of Workamo. Thanks again for your time.
Thank you, Glenn.